sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you know the least. The sun was shining bright on Memorial Day weekend in Elmore County, Alabama, a picture-perfect day for a mother and son to go fishing along the Coosa River. No one could have imagined it would be the last time anyone would see them alive. Susan Osborne and her 15-year-old son, Evan, vanished without a trace. Their cars still parked in the driveway, their phones disconnected, their social media accounts dormant. It was as if they had simply evaporated from existence. But the most disturbing part of this story isn't their disappearance. It's what happened afterward, and what their husband and stepfather tried to hide. For all appearances, Susan and Jerry Osborne seemed to have the ideal life. He was a handsome Air Force veteran who had swept the single mother off her feet. Susan was so in love that she quit her job to be a full-time wife and mother. Jerry provided them with a beautiful home, bought Susan dresses, and appeared to dote on both her and Evan. Susan's mother, Linda, recalls, he was very protective of them. He wanted Susie to look nice. He didn't mind buying her dresses all the time. Susan's best friend, Holly, remembers the early days. I remember her sending me pictures of texts, and she goes, "This is the guy I'm really liking right now." But beneath this veneer of domestic bliss, something much darker was brewing. 2 months after Susan and Evan's disappearance, Linda became concerned when her daughter stopped responding to calls and texts. This wasn't like Susan at all. My last text was jokingly, "Susie, if you don't answer my text, I'm going to have to come to Alabama and look for you," Linda remembers. She even sent a letter, but it came back, marked not deliverable. Holly, Susan's best friend, had also been trying to reach her. The phone was disconnected. I started thinking, okay, is she mad at me because I moved? Then, when I couldn't get anyone on Evan's phone either, and they were both disconnected, I knew something had to be wrong. When deputies finally knocked on the door of the Osborne residence, they found only Jerry, and what he was doing would send chills down the spine of even the most seasoned investigator. When police arrived at the home, Jerry Osborne was thoroughly cleaning the residence. Not just tidying up. He was deep cleaning, remodeling, and replacing everything. The house appeared to be almost completely remodeled on the inside, one detective noted. When police arrived at the home, Jerry Osborne was thoroughly cleaning the residence. Not just tidying up, he was deep cleaning, remodeling, and replacing everything. The house appeared to be almost completely remodeled on the inside, one detective noted. But what was Jerry's explanation for his wife and stepson's disappearance? He told police that on Memorial Day, Susan had decided to leave him. A man had come to pick her and Evan up. According to Jerry, Susan had returned the next day to collect furniture and other belongings before disappearing again. But there was one glaring problem with this story. Susan had done this once before, years ago, when leaving Evan's biological father. But back then, she had told everyone where she was going. She had packed her belongings carefully. She had made arrangements. This time, there was nothing. No goodbye, no warning, nothing. The truth was about to surface in the most unexpected way. Holly had been receiving private emails from Susan for over a year. Emails with a subject line that read, "Don't mention this in text." She sent them through email because she didn't want him reading her text, because he was kind of possessive over her phone. Holly explained within these emails was a bombshell discovery that would turn the investigation upside down. "The first email she sent me was the screenshot of emails back and forth between him and other men," Holly revealed. "And then the second email she sent me the same day was the profile page from 2011 for the Escort page, where he was essentially prostituting himself." Susan had discovered her husband's secret double life. Jerry Osborne, the perfect family man, had been advertising himself as a male escort on a website called Boy.com. "I'm looking for older, generous gentlemen to spend some quality time with." His profile read, "Your satisfaction is guaranteed every time. Your sexy boy toy is waiting." Susan had kept this discovery largely to herself, telling only her closest confidant. She was afraid of Jerry. Her mother later revealed she had verbalized on multiple occasions that he was crazy and they had to watch out, Holly said. Susan refused to sit with her back to the door at restaurants. She was no longer allowed to drive alone. The signs of control were escalating. When investigators used luminol, a chemical that detects blood not visible to the naked eye, what they found was chilling. Approximately 20 areas lit up throughout the home, indicating possible blood evidence in the kitchen, laundry room, and guest bathroom. "We're not talking about a paper cut here," one detective emphasized. "Not at all." The home's elaborate security system, which had cameras at every door, might have captured what happened to Susan and Evan. But Jerry had replaced the entire system just days after they vanished. Cadaver dogs detected possible human remains near a 55-gallon drum where Jerry burned his trash. But no bodies were ever recovered, and investigators found something else on Jerry's computer. Searches so disturbing that officials refused to reveal exactly what they were, but one investigator hinted, "It is not what you or I or any other person would search for." When crime reporters knocked on Jerry's door to ask about the allegations, his response was telling, "We talked to the sheriff and he said that she found out about your extracurricular activities as a male escort, and you may have killed her in Evan. Is that true?" Jerry's only response was to call the police on the reporters. His lawyer would later claim that the remodeling done after Susan allegedly left was actually Jerry's parents' idea, that they wanted to paint over. Vulgar phrases Susan had supposedly spray painted on the walls before leaving, but investigators weren't buying it. To this day, the bodies of Susan Osborne and her son Evan have never been found. Blood evidence collected from the home was sent to a crime lab, but results were expected to take months. Susan's mother waits in agony for answers. "I feel hate," she says simply. "I feel hate for Jerry. After losing my husband and losing my daughter and grandson, I feel dead inside. I feel empty. What really happened in that house on Memorial Day? Did Susan discover too much about her husband's secret life? Did a confrontation turn deadly? Or is there another explanation for their disappearance?" Sound of wind blowing. The sheriff has named Jerry Osborne as the only person of interest in the case. "It doesn't look good right now," he says grimly. "Some secrets are buried deep, hidden behind the facade of normal life. But no matter how thoroughly you clean, how completely you remodel, how carefully you burn the evidence, the truth always leaves a trace. If you have any information about the disappearance of Susan Osborne and her son Evan, please contact the Elmore County Sheriff's Department."